So I would say at a macro sort of perspective, we will see the blockchain industry be worth more than it ever historically has. I know so far it's reached, I think, just over 3 trillion. I expect to see that trend sort of grow as adoption and understanding grows in markets. So the total market cap of everything will be increasing, in my opinion. I expect to see Bitcoin and Ethereum market caps come closer together in value. Ethereum has a bunch of use cases with Ethereum 2.0 launching and with all the layer 2 sort of scaling. Many of the problems that are holding it back today will be solved, which means it can create much faster adoption than Bitcoin potentially, just because it covers more potential use cases. I expect to see big growth from NFTs, especially to some of the slightly smaller market cap blockchains like Solana or Cardano, who now support smart contract functionality, which is a big change, allowing their ecosystem to grow. Solana has obviously had some teething pains, but increasing nicely in the NFT space and a few of the other players. I think Polkadot will also grow massively now. They've just launched their parachain auctions. Now the real benefit of Polkadot and the sort of 100 parachains that can plug in there can be realized. So I think they'll have a very good year. For smaller parts of the markets, for some of the smaller tokens, expect to see people become more knowledgeable. The market in general is evolving its knowledge, and there's much more of a focus on a degree of fundamentals now rather than just pure speculation and hype, and I expect to see this trend continue. As part of this, I think there'll be more and more of a movement away from just day trading tokens and actually looking at some of the fundamental utility of the utility tokens, people getting involved in staking and generating yield in smart ways to actually earn additional tokens and maybe trade a bit less frequently, but actually amass more tokens. I think there's more and more of that's really started to happen. We'll see significant expansion in decentralized finance. This is one, because of things keep innovating and many good projects have now launched. 2, it takes a while for adoption, but 3, and potentially most importantly, the regulatory landscape evolving. Decentralized finance, obviously certain elements of it really need a sort of fundamental structured framework. The regulators have been coming closer and closer to their understanding here, and I believe with improved frameworks and more clear rules next year, not only will it mean more investment can flow in to build more projects, but also the adoption of different decentralized finance mechanics will become significantly more de-risked for any sort of significant existing companies. In the layer 2 space, the sort of blockchain scaling space, adoption, I think it should just be mostly more adoption. We're already seeing significant growth in user numbers this year, and maybe some of us will actually get to near full capacity because most of the networks can do thousands of transactions per second right now, but the adoption is just not there to actually prove those use cases. So hopefully we'll see the first use cases next year where we really are doing sort of serious transaction volume numbers. I think there'll be more and more of a move to interoperability between public blockchain networks. We're seeing sort of siloed value. The Ethereum dominance across different DeFi markets is decreasing. Obviously, the various sort of smaller players have started catching up, and now what we're starting to see, even what we've seen sort of in some NFT sales, is you've got siloed pockets of community. You have maybe the Cardano community and the Ethereum community and the Bitcoin community, but creating the infrastructure to make all of these communities interoperable with each other. I know that's a big part of Polkadot's vision. I think that'll become more and more important because these DeFi assets need to draw on the biggest liquidity pools possible. NFT communities need to reach as many eyeballs as possible. Different assets need to be able to talk to each other across these siloed pockets of value. So interoperability is going to become front and center in the sort of blockchain conversation, in my opinion. And then I think we'll see more and more, and we've already started to see more of a move from use cases being built on private permission chains to more public open blockchains. Many have mentioned sort of one problem was of scalability, right? It's much simpler to scale things in a private and permissioned environment, but those problems have mostly been solved now in market. The other one is around security, but we've seen the Bitcoin, Ethereum, these are secure networks. People aren't stealing money out of people's wallets. It's more just scams that make people send their money to the wrong places. So the public networks are becoming, or users are knowing how to use them better. The user experience around key management is improving. The security has been a proven model now for a while, so I think we'll see more of a transition to using public open blockchain rather than permissioned and private blockchains, much like we saw when the internet first launched, right? There were a bunch of private permissioned intranets, essentially just between various individuals, but the one that ultimately won was the fully connected, interoperable internet, connecting everything together. And I think that's what public blockchain will do to the private permission space too. So yeah, lots of different things, lots of growth, more acceptance in terms of regulation, consumer understanding, user experience, making adoption much easier. And I think next year, if we had to pick one field in particular that I think is really going to shine, I would say it's kind of spread. It depends how you want to categorize things. Decentralized finance or NFTs in particular. NFTs bring blockchain really to the mainstream, help people understand it when they couldn't sort of get their heads around the in-depth sort of complex model. And it's the whole DeFi ecosystem that really gives this its core value, liquidity to previously illiquid assets, but also all the other financial building blocks we need to really build advanced, sophisticated communities within the blockchain. So those are my predictions for 2022. Thank you for listening.